Hi, I'm Astrologer Penny Dix. Welcome to the fourth in my series of the outer planets. And the subject for today's planet is the massively mystical and mysterious blue planet known as Neptune. So what do we know about this mystical planet? Well, I'm going to give you a little bit of information about where it's located and what it's made up of in our solar system. And then, of course, most importantly, I'm going to talk about the astrological qualities that Neptune has, some of the transits that we can expect that will affect us in 2024. And then also, I'm going to go through your individual zodiac signs and look at where Neptune is residing in that part of your chart. Remember, listen to your rising sign, because that's actually the part of the chart that will resonate the most with the life area that this energy has been playing out. Now, Neptune has been in Pisces since 2011-2012. And it remains in Pisces until 2025 and 2026. And this is why I thought it would be a good time to look at the energies of Neptune, because we've had its energy for, 2011 to 2021. We've had the energy for 18 years or something, 15 years. I'm so terrible at mathematics. 2025, take away 2011 and what is left of that. And well, I'm like Neptune. I can be a little bit elusive, a little bit mysterious, a little bit kind of off the wall, because that is Neptune's energy. And, you know, I like to do these videos on a first take, because that way, hopefully, I somehow manage to bring in the energy of the planet so that we get a real feel for what Neptune is about. This is my second take. I got about 2 minutes into the first take and decided that I was talking complete and utter rubbish, and I'd start again. So I started again. So I'm going to tell you that Neptune is the 8th and furthest planet from the sun. However, I hear you say, I thought there were 9 planets, and Pluto is the furthest planet from the sun. Well, theoretically, of course, Pluto is, but Pluto got demoted to the status of dwarf planet. And this is because it is quite small in its density, but as we know, astrologically, hugely powerful. And Pluto is in what is known as the Kuiper Belt. But we're not here to talk about Pluto today. We're here to talk about Neptune. And, you know, because Neptune is a bit elusive, a bit mysterious, it's a bit, it's intuitive, it may be that I will get caught in its energies and go a little bit off course, because that's the kind of energy that Neptune can kind of give us. When you listen to your individual signs, remember to listen to your rising sign and your sun sign, because it will give you the area of your life where this energy has been for quite a few years, because I can't add up or subtract. And so you can think back to 2011, 2012 and think, how has my life been affected by Neptune in the particular area of your chart that we're looking at? But let's go back to what Neptune is like as a planet, because, you know, understanding the, if you like, the science or the astronomy of a planet, what it's made up of, can give us a little bit of sense of its energy astrologically and why the astrologers of old gave Neptune its kind of feelings of intuition, spirituality, imagination, mysticism. Its influence is often linked to themes of compassion and empathy and sensitivity. But astronomically, it actually has a deep blue coloration. And they think this is due to the absorption of red light by methane in its atmosphere. Now, I thought I would wear blue to represent the colour of Neptune. And it has extremely fast winds on its surface, up to 1,300 miles per hour. How would we interpret that symbolically or astrologically? Well, I think Neptune comes into your life like that and brings in a flash of insight, a flash of intuition that gives you the dynamic of what you have been looking for. It could be creative inspiration. But Neptune will certainly, even though it moves so slowly, because Neptune takes, in fact, 165 years to orbit the sun, but, it can really help us develop the intuitive qualities that are all innate in us. If we didn't have our instincts, which is really what intuition is, we would never have been able to sense when there might have been danger outside the particular cave that we lived in back in caveman days. We needed to know on some kind of intuitive level there just might be a saber-toothed tiger outside our dwelling. This is courtesy of the energy of Neptune. And this is what I think it's so important to remember symbolically and astrologically. It's interesting because it does have an interior which is most likely to consist of a rocky core, surrounded by layers of icy materials and a thick mantle of liquid hydrogen. So we have this sense that intuition at its core has a good, sound, secure base. We know when we get that first thought, that first idea about a situation or a person, it's always right, isn't it? This is the way Neptune can act for us. So Neptune, interestingly, also has a system of rings and a diverse family of moons. And its largest moon is known as Triton, which has geysers and surface frost. So this would seem to indicate water, fluidity. Remember, Neptune represents or symbolically is associated with water, with the element of water. It has this fluidity, liquidity, its ability to move and flow. A Neptunian person will be able to move and flow very discreetly, if you like, through a crowded room. And the Neptunian person will look at you and you will feel as if somehow they're looking into their soul, or sort of rather into your soul, and that they truly know you. So let's have a little bit more of a look at the astrology the symbolism of Neptune, because Neptune's energy can inspire a lot of creative inspiration. And we mustn't forget that Neptune also connects us to the subconscious mind, to our unconscious. If you think about its location as Pisces, it's the 12th house. So Neptune always rules the 12th house. Whatever sign you have in your 12th house, Neptune on one level rules it, because Pisces is about that inner psychic world, that ability that we have to go into the underworld, to inhabit the underworld and feel very comfortable, where our intuition really can take flight and where we can raise our frequency to the heady heights of human consciousness's potential to develop and grow, and to help humankind develop as a species away from just our kind of solid earthy roots, and really bring in the abilities of us to connect with higher intuitive frequencies, where we are able to connect with galactic energies in trance-like conditions and states, and really be able to, on that frequency, feel we can move from our physical body on an inner intuitive journey to other realms, whether that be the psychic realms or the spiritual realms, where we connect with people that have passed over, with the energies of souls that have lived on planet Earth, but also with the energies of beings that exist in far distant parts of the galaxy. That is the potential that Neptune gives us. So remember, all these planets have a shadow and a gift. So the shadow side is illusion, deception, idealism. And so we have to constantly remind ourselves to have some discernment between reality and fantasy. And just going back to the fact that Neptune has a system of rings that aren't really visible, but nevertheless they're there, it kind of indicates that we can create psychic boundaries and structure for our personal abilities to connect with these higher frequencies. Now, you will have heard a lot of astrologers and energy speakers talking about all of us being able to elevate our consciousness to connect with these higher frequencies. You know, it's interesting because the last time Neptune was in Pisces, this was in 1847, between 1847 and 1862. And during this time, which is very interesting, spiritualism gained its momentum in the United States and Europe. And people started getting together with friends and involving themselves in seances, table tipping, and attempts at levitation. And of course, that forbidden word, the Ouija board. What has happened whilst Neptune has been in Pisces since 2011, 2012? Well, of course, the internet has taken off, and our ability to connect on social media and discuss these kind of topics and bring them out into the public arena has become much more pronounced. So I think that's one way that Neptune in Pisces this time has acted. I think it has also brought all of us to the brink of the opportunity to recognize that we are more than what we see, feel, and touch. And that to recognize that there are more ways to connect with the divine than just through traditional, rigid forms of religion. There are many ways to the divine, and it doesn't have to be through a rigid dogma, which has kind of kept us almost trapped to the earth. And I think that this time that we've had Neptune in Pisces has really opened us up to recognizing that there are more ways to communicate than just, as I say, just through speech. Because I do believe that as Neptune moves further forward, and even when it moves into Aries, which will be fully in 2026, that we can expect human consciousness over the next couple of years to really go through a massive transformative kind of time, especially due to Pluto's presence, my cat, in Aquarius. Thank you, Iggy. Yes, I'm talking about it. I'm so sorry. I do apologize for my cat. Hello, Iggy. Yes, lovely boy. Don't you just love him? Anyway, he doesn't understand silence, recording in progress. But I want to talk briefly about the next important shift of Neptune, because Neptune, as I say, will move into Aries at the 0 point, July 25, between July 25 and February the 20th, 2026, where it will make an exact conjunction. That means two planets looking as if they're in the same place in the sky with Saturn. Saturn couldn't be more opposite to Neptune. Saturn is the planet of boundaries, restriction, rules. But you know, I think this could be good because Aries is fire. Saturn and Neptune moving into Aries could create quite a combustible kind of experience where we have to accept that we all have a sixth sense, that we all have an ability to know who it is when the phone rings or even before it does, that we all have the ability to consciously affect the planet by sending out positive healing, especially if it's collective. These intention experiments have been going on for some time. Healing intention experiments. And, you know, and of course, I've forgotten the wonderful lady that has written all about the intention experiment, and it'll come to me, but of course I'll pop it in the description box, because she has done so much work with the scientific side of trying to bring together consciousness and energy and understanding it and how it links in with these other kind of if you like, pseudosciences, because I'm not allowed to call astrology a science. But you know what? Maybe by the end of Neptune's journey through Aries, I will be able to call it a science. Now, wouldn't that be interesting? Because I think when Neptune moves into Aries, we may well experience on a collective level a kind of emotional outbursts, because we will have this newfound fiery belief in the power of our psychic abilities, because we will be seeing it with our own eyes and our ability for telepathic communication. And I think that we will really see by the end of Neptune's journey through Pisces, and when it connects with Saturn, how much human consciousness is and can rise up towards its full potential. That's what I feel. Now, I just want to talk a little bit more about Neptune's co-ruler, which is in Pisces, which is Jupiter. So mystical Neptune and, of course, lucky opportunistic planet Jupiter are the co-rulers of our wonderfully sweet, sensitive sign of Pisces. So this is why we have this wonderful feeling of the imagination with Pisces. It's like it's the 12th sign of the zodiac. And it's almost like all the other signs, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, all the way round as we get through Aquarius to Pisces. We've been learning a lesson. If some of you out there know the tarot, it's a bit like the fool's journey through the tarot, through the major arcana, to the point where you reach that eureka point of fully understanding, absolutely getting what everything is all about. And I really do feel, with Pluto's move into Aquarius, with Pisces being on the brink of Neptune and Saturn both leaving Pisces and moving into Aries, at the beginning of the whole zodiac wheel again, that there will be massive kind of psychic, if you like, revolution and evolution. I really feel that most strongly. And that we will all start acknowledging that we all have the power, that it's not reserved for special people or just intuitive, clever people. It is not, as I often say, an exclusive club. You know, channeling will become everyday abilities. You know, if you sit down and just hold a pen and just say to the divine, what do you want me to know today? You wait for the answer and you write it down. And then you get the answer. That will be how simple it is. And we will all know this without needing to be told. So, you know, it is exciting. And Neptune really encourages us all to explore our inner world, to seek that spiritual growth, to connect with something greater than ourselves. And so, because it's in Pisces, it's like Pisces really underlines this energy. So, Neptune is a blue planet. Blue is a very high frequency kind of chakra color. It's actually the throat chakra, but I'm also thinking of that blue indigo that goes up to beyond our crown chakra, up into those higher chakras in our complete auric system. So we're all going to be able to get up there. Oh yes, mark my words, that is what is going to happen. Now, I'm just going to go through the important transits for 2024. Very simply, I'm not going to go in depth because you will forget it. And I will do it when I come to the individual kind of weeks ahead and the months ahead. So let's just look at when Neptune this year goes retrograde, because on July the 2nd, Neptune will go retrograde. And as you know, this is just a kind of optical illusion from our position on Earth. So it looks as if it slows down. It's because it has an orbit of the Earth. Sorry, they used to think it was the Earth. An orbit of the Sun, which is much slower than the orbit of the Earth. The Earth only takes 365, sometimes 366 days to orbit the Sun. Whereas Neptune takes, let me find my notes, 165 years to orbit the Sun. So Neptune, when it goes retrograde for a long period of time, because basically we appear to be speeding up. And Neptune, because it's so far away, looks as if it's standing still, slowing down and going behind us. This is an optical illusion, but the symbolism is massive. What retrogrades do is give us a chance to re-look, recalibrate, rethink, redo, relearn, revisit. Look at some of the dreams that perhaps have not taken root yet, that you've had, that you've just not somehow found the ability to manifest. Remember, manifestation takes place in the present. Your present frequency has to match the frequency of what it is you wish to manifest. If it doesn't, then you're just keeping it further away from you. So always know that you can bring into your life now in the present by raising your frequency to the elevation of the frequency that Neptune is helping you do to bring in that which you want to manifest. Now, on September the 18th, we do have an important conjunction with Neptune, because there's a partial full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces. And this full moon lunar eclipse is actually conjunct Neptune. Now remember, Neptune is retrograde. So there's going to be something about the energy of this eclipse where things really are kind of hidden from us. We may have to really go back and rethink something that we've had an idea about to create. Don't be disheartened. See any delays that Neptune is bringing as a blessing, as a way to just pause, take time out and think, where might I be being unrealistic? Am I striving for a sort of a solution that has no answers? Am I trying to make something happen that is beyond one's capabilities? Keep your dreams realistic whilst Neptune's retrograde, and also during that partial lunar full moon eclipse in Pisces. And you know, of course, I will do a full moon video nearer the time. And I will hopefully do a video about Neptune going retrograde where I can go into it in a little bit more depth. Now, on the 7th of December, it'll go direct again. So it'll retrace the steps it's already gone through. And then I just want to tell you again when it enters Aries, because this is massive. Neptune enters Aries. So it'll be at what we call the anaretic degree of Pisces for quite a long time. That's 29 degrees and whatever minutes it is. On the 30th of March 2025, Neptune enters Aries. Then, on the 22nd of October 2025, Neptune retrogrades into Pisces. And then it's like when these planets retrograde back into a sign they're definitely leaving. It's actually saying, I'm back because if you've not quite yet got what I was trying to teach you, I'm giving you this final chance to get the message, to get the intuitive message, to take the risk with the dream. So think about it in that way. Think about it very constructively and positively. It's retrograding into Pisces on the 22nd of October, 2025, and then finally moves back into Aries on the 26th of January, 2026. And then it moves into Taurus on the 21st of May, 2038. Well, I may not be around then, but hopefully there will be enough good astrologers around. I'm not saying I'm the best astrologer, but I'm hopefully trying to be the best astrologer that I can possibly be. And I must be careful I don't get into the illusion and deception of Neptune. Oh, you know what I'm like. Oh, my God. Right. At this point, it's time to move on, swiftly on, to move on to your individual signs. But I just want to say one more thing about Neptune in Pisces at the moment, because I think spirituality and spiritualism has really gone up a grade. And I think that there really has been a massive surge and understanding and learning of more acceptance of spiritual things, including things like mediumship, where it's been much more accepted in mainstream. That may not be so in every part of the world, but there are many parts of the world that accept it in a much more kind of obvious way. And also, I think a lot of you out there will have noticed that actually, again, mediumship is not an exclusive club. And that when you lose someone, you actually realize you don't lose them. You gain them in a way that you could never have thought was possible, because they can be with you if you choose for that to be that way, all the time, every day, in every moment. And that is one of the gifts of Neptune when it finally leaves Pisces. So let's move on to your individual signs. So let's talk about Aries. Aries, it's probably been, that was my shoes squeaking on the floor. I do apologise. I don't know what quite happened there. Aries. Oh, well, we had the cat crying. Now we've got my shoes squeaking. The fridge has just switched itself on. So, oh, joy. Anyway, Aries, it's in your 12th house. Do you see how I'm all over the place with this video? Because it's Neptune. So it's not like Saturn, where I can be boundaried and strict and stick to my script. I'm kind of going off script and going off at a tangent. And that, I think, is the boundarylessness of Pisces and our oceans of emotion. And Neptune in Pisces, which for you, Aries, is your 12th house, has really plunged you into the depths over the last few years that Neptune has been here. Some of you will really have developed your psychic and intuitive side of your nature. Some of you will have discovered that you have mediumistic abilities. Some of you have realized that actually perhaps all of us have mediumistic abilities. And some of you may have stuck your fingers in your ears and gone, la 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 la, I don't want to know, I can't go there, it's too hard, it's too difficult, I don't want to know, it frightens me. And that can be a little bit of Neptune's shadow. But you know, you need to prepare yourself for when Neptune moves into your sign, Aries. Because what you haven't taken time to look at, unfold and learn, whilst Neptune has been in your 12th house, you will kind of be given a second chance when it moves into your sign, but also you'll have no choice because Neptune will change you. Neptune will soften you. Neptune will soften your boundaries, will soften your fire and kind of fire and brimstone, will really round your edges, will make your emotions far more malleable. So Aries, have a think about how the last few years have been with Neptune in Pisces in this part of your chart. Just think about, have you looked within? Have you tried to develop your psychic and intuitive abilities? Has your psyche developed or grown in any ways? And if not, why not? Because there's still time to do that work so that you allow Neptune to enter your sign with its gift of awareness, of intuitive awareness. So it really is really valuable for you, Aries. So now we move on to Taurus. Taurus, well, it's in your 11th house. And the 11th house is, of course, the house of hopes, wishes. It's about what gets you out to the community at large. Now, I think a lot of Taurians over the last few years will have discovered that they have an enormous interest in psychic things and things that go bump in the night and the spirit world and all of that kind of thing. I think it will have interested you, even if you've not told anyone about it. And some of you may have found yourself attending spiritualist churches or mediumship demonstrations as you've tried to kind of try and understand these energies. And a lot of you will probably have channeled this energy through energy healing, like working with, say, a system like Reiki, because that would be a good use of this energy. So think back, Taurus, to how this has manifested for you over the last, as I say, few years. And then think about how it will affect you when it moves into your 12th house, because then it's really going to take you on a journey into the depths of your very soul. And if you've not been down there yet, then you have to kind of prepare for the ride and be open to a lot of your intuitive abilities really opening up on quite a deep and vast level. Okay, let's move on to Gemini. Gemini, this is your 10th house of career and work. Well, one of the things that's just popped into my mind is, have some of you become seafaring sailors over the last few years? Or is the water and anything connected with it an anathema to you? Because I think what it's helped, though, with Gemini is for you to Allow yourself to be guided much more by your intuition, where your career and what you're passionate about in life is concerned. So I think it has helped you with that. And remember, when we get the retrograde later this year, it's going to give you an opportunity before next year, when Neptune enters Aries, for you to just reflect on how much you've been able to get out of your kind of cerebral thinking and into a deeper part of your psyche and soul, to allow your intuition to be the first thing you've listened to rather than your thoughts. Because I think sometimes, Gemini, you have got in your own way, as I say. And I think Neptune here has been really working hard on trying to help you just tune in to these other frequencies, to tune in, to stop, to listen, to just slow down and be with that intuitive, wonderful. It's like if you go diving, Gemini, or if you have ever sort of snorkeled or anything like that, it's that kind of silence beneath the water, where all we can hear is ourselves breathing. That's really, Gemini, what you have been encouraged to become aware of with Neptune in Pisces. And when it moves into your 11th house, then I think it's about you going out more and being a little bit more risk-taking in terms of ideas and using your creativity in a very constructive and positive way. So let's move on to Cancer. For you, Cancer, it's in your 9th house. This is really super interesting because the 9th house is a water house, and you are a water sign and you're ruled by the moon. And the 9th house is also about these higher frequencies, these higher spiritual energies. I think a lot of you have spent a lot of time going within. I think you have been using your imagination as constructively as you've been able to, pulling on your opposite sign of Capricorn to somehow help you to get some of that sort of Saturnian stability and structure into the ideas and creativity that you've had. And I think it's been quite tough having this energy here, because I think sometimes your imagination, it's been difficult to separate your psychic intuition from your psychological paranoia. And so some of you may have really suffered from, difficult feelings of paranoia and depression. And so that I think it'll be quite a welcome relief when Neptune finally moves into your 10th house, Aries, and brings you the creativity out into the open to do with the sort of the things that you work on creatively and constructively, to do with your work, your career, and everything that you're passionate about. That's what I think it is for you. So Leo, for you, it's in your 8th house. Now this for you has been very, very much about your kind of joint finance, investments, pensions. And I think some of you Leos have been worrying about all of these things, because I think Neptune has been creating a bit of a veil of illusion and delusion, so that you've not always seen clearly or trusted or had faith that the divine has your back, that you will be all right. Because remember, the 8th house is opposite the 2nd house, which is the house of finance. And I think, Leo, sometimes, for all your proud, roaring and growling on top of your mountaintop, you're quite a little pussycat underneath, and you do worry that there will be enough to go round. And so, Leo, Neptune has been actually teaching you some pretty tough lessons about faith, trust, and actually to put in the work that you need to put into to make sure that everything actually is in order. So that I think some of you have found it quite difficult to keep things in order. I think it's been easy for it to spill over, so that you've not been fully in control of your joint spending or your savings. I think it's been an area that's been quite difficult for you. It'll be easier for you. I think you'll finally find the grounding you need when Neptune moves into your 9th house, which will be Aries, in 2025 and 2026, where, wow, it's just going to change your whole attitude to spirituality. You're going to be absolutely fired up on every level. You are just going to be, I think we'll see a lot of Leos becoming kind of real trance channelers and really kind of becoming the showman that they can be, with all this, suddenly this awareness that they have of this energy and this ability that we all have. Don't forget that, Leo. It's just that you can sometimes be the champion that everybody needs, that those who are a little bit more shy are not able to do. So let's move on to Virgo. Because for you, Virgo, it's in your 7th house of significant relationships. And I think this has quite seriously been quite tough for you. I think sometimes you've been at 6s and 7s about your personal relationships and just not really known which way anything is going, and whether someone is with you or not with you. And whether you're in a relationship or not, it seems to have been difficult to almost trust your intuition. It's like you overthink it, so that sometimes you just miss. You just can't grab hold of the one that you really want, or the one that you really want, or the one that you really want that you've got. You keep thinking is just going to slip away. So Virgo, you've really had to learn some, again, tough lessons of trust. It's also taken you up into a realm of romanticism and idealism, of dreams that nobody can possibly fulfill. It's just not possible for people to kind of have that ability. So what you need to do is kind of just trust, have faith, know that the divine has your back. It's not always easy for you, Virgo, to trust that, but she does. And you know, when Neptune moves into your 8th house, you, at least of all the signs, have the ability to keep things in order, to do with joint finances, where, you know, and investments and pensions, where Neptune might be making things a little bit, you know, out of control. So you will know how to maintain and manage that energy. So I think in all, it will be a much better placement for you to have Aries, to have Neptune when it moves into Aries. So there we go. Now we move on to Libra. So Libra, it's in your 6th house. Well, the 6th house, of course, is the house of service to others. I think this has served you, or is serving you, quite well. I think, although you've not always trusted it, you've had an innate ability to just get a sense of when something needs to change with your, say, daily routine. That intuitively you just know you should cancel something because of some part of your mind that is stepping in and saying things to you that you don't quite know why you're thinking it, but you know you better listen to it. There's been something of that nature around Libra. And Libra, you know, you're a very balanced soul. And Libra, I think it's really been quite difficult for you to, you know, Aries is your opposite sign. And of course, Aries is the sign that Neptune is now going to be moving into, which will actually be your 5th house. And that might sound confusing because I'm saying Libra, it's in your 6th house. But for you, Libra, Pisces is your 6th house. So I'm talking about the Librans' experience of Neptune in the 6th house, which is Pisces. So it can get a little bit confusing, just like Neptune can be a little bit confusing. But listen as this continues. Listen to your intuition. Anything to do about your health, the health of a loved one, the health of a pet, listen to your intuition. You will be glad that you did. Because when Neptune moves into your 5th house, is that right? When Neptune moves into your 7th house, you are really going to notice a difference to your relationships. You're going to notice a kind of, your partner's going to become quite romantic and be showering you with sort of gifts and proposals and champagne and flowers and all of that, if that's what you like. So for you, Libra, when Neptune moves into your 7th house, it's actually going to be really quite a ride. I think your relationships are going to get more fiery, much deeper emotionally. You've just got to be careful that they don't become too uncontained so that you have these passionate affairs that end suddenly. Because remember, Aries is full of energy, assertion, but also aggression. And it's very much about, I'm the leader, I go first. So just be mindful of that, Libra. Now we move on to Scorpio. Scorpio, you've had this in your 5th house. And I think this has been quite tough for you because I think there's been, you know, the 5th house can be about love affairs and romance. And I think people have popped in and out of your life that you've kind of thought, oh, he, she, they look nice, but somehow it just doesn't kind of quite unfold. So there might have been some affairs and it might have been deceptive, like maybe you've been the other woman or discovered you're the other woman or the other man or the man. Do you see what I mean? So I'm trying to be gender neutral, but please just accept that I'm being as gender neutral as my generation are able to do. We do our best. So Scorpio, I think for you, Neptune moving out of this part of your chart and into your 6th house will actually help you to relax a bit with regard if you want to meet someone nice, you know, if you want a new relationship, things will calm down. It'll just get a little bit easier so that you can somehow at last see the wood for the trees. And, you know, moving into your 6th house, then you're going to intuitively be much more aware of when, if you have small furry animals in your life, when they're sick, it's almost like you could become a animal healer, an animal Reiki healer, just an animal healer, an animal whisperer. And also it'll be, you will have a much more intuitive insight into the best way to structure your daily routine that suits you, Scorpio. So I do think it'll be positive for you. I do think that the last, quite a few years since 2011, 2012, with Neptune as part of your chart, hasn't been a particularly easy ride for you in the friendship and the romance department. I think there's been some very good bits, but there's also been some difficult bits, some extreme highs and some extreme lows. That is going to shift. So let's now move on to Sagittarius. Sagittarius, you've had this in the part of your chart that is to do with home and family. Some of you will have just been longing to be by water, whether it's the sea, a lake, a river. There would have been a real sense in you, Sagittarius, that you need the cooling waters of Pisces to kind of cool down your Sagittarian fire. And, Pisces, like you, Sagittarius, is mutable. You like to go with the flow. And for a fire sign, you are the log fire that doesn't spark too much, but just keeps burning, because you have an ability to take hold of the next log that gets put in your fire and you recreate yourself. And so I feel, Sagittarius, for you that Neptune's role in your fourth house has made some of your family relationships a little bit difficult and a little bit challenging, a little bit hard to understand. You've had to really pull on all your kind of, psychic, spiritual abilities to try and understand what's going on in their minds at this point. So there's certainly been that kind of energy around. And I think, Sagittarius, for you, when Neptune moves into your fifth house, which is Aries, it's going to bring some nice romantic interludes that really are pretty fiery, pretty passionate. Now, that can't go on for the next 20 years. Well, if it does, you're very, very lucky, because that's going to take some stamina. So I think we have to look at some of the other qualities of the fifth house to get a sense of what this Neptunian energy is about for you. Remember, it also rules creativity and the imagination. So I do feel that it's going to bring you much more kind of ability of moving into those areas of your life where you will feel much more in charge of your creativity, able to put it into some kind of order, to get that river flowing in the direction that you want it to. So quite interesting energy for you, Sagittarius. I think it'll be good when it moves out of your fourth house. I think you just might have had enough of the colour blue everywhere in your home and decide to change it to red or orange or something bright. Okay, let's move on to Capricorn. Capricorn, it's in the part of your chart that is to do with communication. So some of you will have found that it's over the last kind of few years, since 2011, 2012, it's been, sometimes people just seem to, misunderstand you, and you kind of don't understand why they don't understand you. You're doing your best to kind of put it out there in the way that you think it'll be understood, and somehow it just doesn't get understood. And so this has been quite frustrating for you, whether it's been in a work setting or in a friendship setting. But I think, Capricorn, you're one step ahead of the game. And I think you're now fully aware of how Neptune has been bringing in some confusion, illusion, delusion, deception into your thinking, into your speech, I think you've had to learn to be completely, totally, wholly honest with yourself. Some of you will probably have sought the help of a counselor or coach or therapist to make head or tail of some of the emotional feelings that have been stirred up in you whilst you've had Neptune in this part of your chart. I think it's been quite challenging, and I think when it moves into your 4th house of home and family, again, you may be the one seeking out some far off desert island to live by the sea with literally a minute's walk down to the beach. Or you certainly may be surrounding yourself with a more fluid environment, something less stark. But also remember, of course, it's the sign of Aries. So this is this is a little bit different, isn't it? Because this is where we see the steam and the fire and the passion. So I think do you know what's just come into my mind? I think it's something about making a home, finally making a proper home, putting down some proper roots. I think some of you have been a little bit nomadic in some ways, with some of the energies, especially with this Neptune energy, depending what your rising sign is. But if your rising sign is Capricorn, I think, it has been quite a challenge for you. And I think that when Neptune moves into your 4th house, I just think it's just going to help you be the master of the helm of the ship you are sailing at home, to intuitively know the best way to help family relationships, to help everything settle down, to help everything just sort itself out. That's what I feel is happening. So let's move on to Aquarius. So Aquarius, of course, it's in your 2nd house. So this is the house of finance. This is how you make your living. This is how you value yourself. I think, Aquarius, with Pisces here, it's been quite difficult for you to sustain any sense of value in what you do. I think there has been like a constant need for validation, and that however much you look for it, try and find it, try and gain it from your work, from your passion, from other people, from your partner if you have one, from your family, somehow it just doesn't work for you. Aquarius, you have to find the validation within. You have to know that it's really, really going to serve you well to get much more of a sense of balance into your life. For you to, because remember, Aquarius, you do have the ability to get up to these higher energies, to channel these higher frequencies. That's what you need to have been concentrating on whilst Neptune has been in your 2nd house. It's going to move into your 3rd house, which is Aries. And when it does, remember, it's going to bring a little bit of to start with, it's going to be a little bit like when we first try and get a fire going, it spits and sparks a bit. You might find your way of communicating is a little bit out of sync or out of order for a while. But once you get the hang of it, you're at least, I think, going to start walking your talk and talking your walk and coming up with some pretty innovative ideas of the way forward. Now let's look at Pisces, because Pisces, my oceans of emotions, this is you, Pisces. Well, oh dear, and I have to at this point apologize to Jerry, because I've kept doing this all the way through and he'll be thinking, oh, this is Pisces, oh, this is Pisces. But I finally got to Pisces and I've been, well, have I been all over the place? It's interesting doing these outer planets because, you know, one has to think, do I actually act out the energy of the planet I'm trying to kind of psychologically and intuitively embody? You know what I think I do? Because also there's this element of not being able to hold on to anything, not being able to contain anything, the fluidity of everything, the fluid motion of everything, the interruptions that have come from the cat, from my shoe, from the fridge, all of these things that kind of just can throw me off kilter. And Pisces, with Neptune in your sign, it's been glorious and terrible all at the same time. Some of you who have become so psychic, so intuitive, but it's probably got out of control and it's been so hard for you to tie that energy down, to contain it into some kind of malleable force within for you to control your inner psyche, your inner self, your soul. And Saturn's move into your sign at last in the last year is at last giving you an ability to put some structure and boundaries into how you experience not only your sign, but Neptune in your sign. And so for you, I think when Neptune leaves your sign finally in 2025 to 2026 and goes into Aries, which will be your second house. So at this point, I think you will have learnt to contain, to manage these psychic abilities. You are going to be, what's coming to me now is you are going to be the new pioneers of kind of the new age. I know we're always talking about a new age. We're always going to have a new age. But this is the new age of the 21st century. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. And, you know, Pisces, Neptune's final departure from your sign will leave you with the gift of a really true and deep knowing. A knowing that you have connected with energies that some of the other signs have really struggled to get a grip of, to get hold of. They can't quite get hold of it. And so that Aries, when Neptune moves into Aries in your second house, you will finally feel that you have really got a sense of your self-worth, that you can call yourself a true pioneer of the psyche, of the soul, of psychic energies, of channeling, of all of these kind of conditions of being. Those of you with either a sun or a moon or a rising in Pisces will all experience this too in a similar way. So it will be good for you, Pisces. Pisces, you are on the dawn of a new age, and you are the pioneers in some way, leading us into this new era. And that's pretty cool and pretty exciting. So on that note, I'm going to bring things to a close. And thank you so much for joining me for this fourth in the Outer Planets series, all about Neptune. Thank you so much to those of you that already support the channel. For those of you that are new to my channel, I would love if you could subscribe, and if you can like the video. It helps with the algorithms and gets it out there so that more people can learn about, say, in this instance, Neptune. And remember to join me for my weekly updates, which will probably have been on hold for a while due to my recent back surgery. And I'm recording this prior to my recent back surgery, so I'm kind of putting myself into the future and then sending myself forward. So I'm back to the future and back again. But that's so Neptunian. So what can I say? I am being Neptune today. So on that note, thanks so much for joining me. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.